Welcome to Pre-Algebra Section 3-1, Graphing Points. Today's date is February 6th, 2012. We have four definitions here today. The first one is the coordinate plane. It is a grid formed by the intersection of two number lines. As you can see, this whole thing is my coordinate plane. All right? It is made up of three parts. We have the y-axis, which is in red, and it is the vertical number line. We have the blue axis, which is the x-axis, which is the horizontal number line. And then where those two intersections meet, it is the origin. So the point where the x and y-axes intersect would be considered the origin. Please pause this if you need to take notes. Otherwise, we can move on. In the coordinate plane, there are four quadrants, all right? The x and y axis divide the coordinate plane into four quadrants. We can see this first quadrant, quadrant 1, is made up of the points that are both positive in sign. Quadrant 2, moving over to the left, is made up of the x values that are negative and the y values that are positive. Moving down below, the third quadrant is the x values that are negative and the y values that are negative. And then the fourth quadrant is made up of the x values that are positive and the y values that are negative. Those four items will help you identify points to determine what quadrant would be, or what point the quadrant would be in. In addition to that, we have two other areas. We have the x-axis, and we have the y-axis over here. Excuse me. When I look at the x-axis, and I'm going to be completing my numbers, moving from the origin, moving either right or left, I will have some value for x. But if it's going to stay on the x-axis, the y value must always be 0. Whereas for the y-axis, the points will either move up or down. And if it's moving up or down, that means that the x value will always be 0, and the y value can change. When looking at the coordinate plane, we will be locating points on it. There are a couple tips for you to know. First of all, we always start at the origin, and the origin is at 0, 0, which is noted by this green dot right here. When we go to label our points, we have a couple things. If the numbers are positive, we have the options of either going to the right or going up, depending whether it's the x or the y value. And if it's negative, they would go to the left or possibly down, depending again whether it's an x or y coordinates. The ordered pair will always be in this format. The x will be first and then the y. So an ordered pair always comes in a parenthesis, x comma y with a closing parenthesis. When we're going to graph points, we will always start at the origin, and then the x coordinate is going to tell us which area we are going to be moving, whether we're going to move left or right. When I look over here and I look at this ordered pair 6, 4, you can see the 6 is in pink, and I have my 6 units moving to the right because it's positive. And in the line green, I have my 4 units for the y value moving up. So my final point is 6, 4 at the blue dot. Whereas on the purple point down here, you will see that I have 0, negative 6. This time I start at the origin and I do not move left or right because the value is 0. But the y value is negative 6, so I am going to move down 6 units, ending at my point here of 0, negative 6. We'll be looking at several points now to graph. Our first point that we are going to graph is the point A, and it is the point 2, 3. Right? So, moving at the origin, I start at 0, 0. My 2 tells me I am going to move right 2 units. So there's 1, 2 units. And then the 3 is telling me that I'm going to move up 3 units. So starting here, I count 1, 2, 3. My new point, A, is located at the point 2, 3. Moving on to our second point. Our second point is B, and we're going to use -2, +3. Again, starting at the origin. We'll start at the origin, but now this time I will be moving left 2 units. And when I move left 2 units, I'm here. And then I will be going up 3 units. 1, 2, 3. So I have my new point of B. So I have my 2 points A and B noted. Moving on to my third point, C, I will use 2, -3. Again, my 2 is positive, so I am going to be moving to the right. But now my y value is negative, so I will be moving down. So starting again at the origin, moving over 2 units, and then down 3 units, I have my next point, which is letter C. Okay, moving on to letter D. So we have used the variety of 2, 3 positives or negatives. So we are going to do a -2, -3. Again, starting at the origin. We start at the origin. We are moving left 2 units and then down 3 units. And that gives me my point D. And you can see that just by changing one sign will move you from quadrant to quadrant. So A was in quadrant 1, B was in quadrant 2, C was in quadrant 4, and D was in quadrant 3. Now, we do have chances when it doesn't end up in a quadrant, it ends up on an axis. So we have either the y or the x-axis it could end up on. So if I'm looking at this point right here, and I move, if I start at the origin, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. So 7 units. And I do not move up or down, so I stay at 0. So on the x-axis, I'm moving to the right 7 units. I do not move up or down, so that signifies a 0. Whereas if I'm looking at the y-axis over here, and let's say I pick this point right here, I start at the origin, I move up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. Notice I did not move left or right. I just stayed right at the origin, and then I moved up 6 units. So on the y-axis, I have the point 0, 6. Now, we took a look at both positives. Let's take a look at possibilities when they could be negative. So, looking over here, if I have x for the x-axis again, and I place my point -2, 0, I start at my origin, move over 2 units, and I stay there. That's my x value. If I look at the y-axis, and I do not want to move left or right. I just want to move up or down. So I'm going to go to negative 4. So I stay stationary at the origin, and then I move down 4 units. So here I'm at the origin, 1, 2, 3, 4 units. I'm at my y value. So if you note, whenever they end up on the y-axis, the first or the x-coordinate is always 0. Whereas when they end up on the x-axis, the y-coordinate is always 0. So something for you to help recognize what quadrants or what axis they could end up on. So as a short overview, if we are in quadrant 1, that means that you are going to be having a positive x value and a positive y value. So quadrant 2, you will have a negative x value, but you will have a positive y value. Quadrant 3, you will be having both a negative x value and a negative y value. Quadrant 4 will give you a positive x value with a negative y value. If it is on the x-axis, you will have some value for the x, but you will not move up or down, so your y value will be 0. If it is on the y-axis, you will move left or right. If you will be on the y-axis, you will be not moving left or right, so you will have a 0 value, and you will be moving up or down on the y value. So when we look at this, we have 6 possibilities. Your points could end up in the 4 quadrants, or it could end up on the x or y axis. We also have one other unusual point, and that is the origin. And the origin, if we remember, it is at 0, 0. The origin will be both on the x-axis and the y-axis. So that is the one point that could share both of the axes for a place.